Hey, everyone will be starting in a moment. Just getting everything set up. Alright, that's all done. Connection seems to be good. Everything seems to be fine, so we can begin. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another stream of The Great Ace Attorney. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. Mine was alright. Could have been better, but it could have been worse. Ugh. But yes, hope everyone's doing okay. Today, we are continuing where we had left off last time in this game of The Great Ace Attorney, where we had proven that Von Karma was not guilty of the murder of Gregson. But now we have to try and prove that he's not guilty of being the Reaper, which is not proving that well because Strongheart's standing in our way, because it turns out he might be related in some way to the case, and he might even be the Reaper himself. Who knows? But we're trying to see if we can find all the evidence, but obviously Strongheart's cutting us off at every turn. He's like, oh, you can't do that. That's against the rules. I will not allow it. And then luckily the people in the stand are like, no, you will let it happen. We're like, okay, fine. We have, I think we saved like halfway through. Did I say Von Karma? Van Zieks. I meant to say Van Zieks. But I think, like I was saying, we stopped halfway through, I believe, of the last case, so we might still be continuing with that, and we still got some more after that. Whether that means that we only have one stream of this game this week, or if we're going to be able to stream it twice, I don't know, but we shall find out. So without further ado, let us get into the game and see what we can get up to. Yes? Hey, Raffatron, welcome. Not very subtle with that title? Hey. It took me a long time to come up with this title name. What do you mean? Nah. Yeah. I was like, I'll just put a strong heart. You know, it works. Right. Let me see. Okay, sounds been picked up. Everything else seems to be okay. No drop frames. Alright, cool. Alright, continue. The final result. Part 3, that was it. Yes, we were asking about the Asogi papers. I remember this. Hello, Baloroth. Welcome. I gotta remember my Scottish and Irish accents. As the warder responsible for the condemned convicts, I tended at Mr. Asogi and kept watch over the cell. Ugh. The night after he was found guilty in court, he was doing something with that will in his cell. He turned the cell inside out looking for it after the execution, but to no avail. Only found out about the Asogi papers when a directive came telling me to impound them. That document was in the folds of that fella's robe. That was lost in the cell. A kimono, I think it's called. I'm getting thrown into trying to do an Irish and Scottish accent straight from the get-go. It is kimono. That's a lie. We searched every inch of the man's cell. We looked through all his clothes. It can't be true. It can't be true. Well, you're not satisfied with calling me a liar the once, eh? You wee waffinger. There's nothing you can do about it now. You don't have any hold over me anymore. Other than the hold you like to take on my calf at you, of course, if that's what you're going to do, is it? It's animating as though he's being pulled. Are you going to give me a good shake again, or are you too scared? Ah! Little and large. What a double act. We complied with Asogi's will as far as possible. All of his personal effects were delivered to his family home in Japan. as a courtesy of the homeland of the most notorious killer our country has ever seen. Hey, Matt Manito, welcome. And we are much obliged. I can confirm that all my father's belongings arrived safely. Aye. You can't deny the handwriting is that of your old man, eh? Yes, and there's no mistaking that it's my father's brushwork. Really? And this is the last will and testament that was the man's last weapon, was it? I think we can safely assume that the convict was merely prattling, knowing that his end was nigh. So, counsels for the defense, your cross-examination, please. Woo! Yes, my lord. You ready, guys? We're gonna find the truth. And end it all. Oh, God, I only have 2 lives left. I forgot about that.
Hold it!
So, would that mean that you conversed with Mr. Asogi? Yes, certainly. Though there was precious little time before his execution was due. He was remarkably calm, considering his days were very much numbered. In all honesty, he really didn't strike me one as a man capable of mass murder. Yet he confessed in full to the crimes. I know, that's why I felt compelled to ask him one day. I can still recall his reply. I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life, yes. But he was so tranquil and intelligent, I put my mind in of an Eastern holy man. And what about the will you saw him with? What can you tell us about that? It was the beginning of all the drama. I remember it very well, yes. If you lose, Strongheart just smashes your head with his cane. He throws at you and the horn sticks into your head.
Hold it!
And he pleaded with you not to report him, did he? Yes, that's right. And like the bum pot you are, you didn't tell me. A blatant breach of trust that was. I could see that the man was a noble spirit. I found myself wanting to treat him accordingly. But according to what you've told us 2 days ago, the convict had been strictly forbidden from having any writing materials whatsoever. Yes, you're quite right. So, when exactly was the will penned? That was before the man was remanded in Berkeley, obviously. Yes, as the prosecutor's office had under supervision of the relevant authorities. I personally instructed Asogi to make a will for the benefit of his family in his homeland. In that case, why was it found in his cell? Oh, what do you mean by that? Well, if it was penned at the prosecutor's office, you would have expected that it would remain there for safekeeping, surely. It's curious. That doesn't seem to be any obvious explanation of why it was subsequently found in the convent cell. Oh, the defense makes an astute point. Well, Governor. A prisoner, Governor, can be expected to ken the inner workings of the prosecutor's office. In that case, Lord Strongheart, please, can you shed some light on the matter? I am unable to offer an explanation here and now. I would have to consult with the notary responsible for the will at the time. And who would that be? The fact that my father's will was discovered in his cell is clearly inconsistent with what was expected. I want to know why. Another inexplicable mystery, then. Well, the thing about that will... He's like, anyway...
Hold it!
It was the governor who ordered the search for the will, as I understand it. Is that right? Yes, and when I reported it back that we couldn't find it, he grabbed me by the cravat and yelled, "It can't have disappeared completely in my face." Aye, well, it's doing on the government to keep everybody's working as hard as they should. I think the governor needs a wee taste of his own medicine, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, we'll strangle him then. The point is, it was clearly considered a very important document, wasn't it? But it's proved impossible to find. That's right. And then before I knew it, it was in the morning paper. That blood-curdling article. The executed mass murderers who rise from the dead. Oh, you mean the article based on Mr. Drebber's experience in Lowgate Cemetery? Yes, that was it. The day after I read that news, I was summoned to the governor's office. And that's when the offer accusation was made. That you'd aided Genshin Asogi in it to escape from prison and resulting in your immediate dismissal. I'm afraid I really don't remember anything after that. As the governor of the prison, I had no choice. I couldn't have done nothing else.
Hold it!
And that directive came from the same sources that one instructed you about the jailbreak. Aye, at the top levels of the prosecutor's office. What name was on it? I didn't ken before, I didn't ken now. Or is this because of student All I can tell you is that my orders were to deliver everything in my power to find that document. The director said it had to be somewhere inside the fellow's cell. Document? Was that the wording? Document, not will? Aye. That's what it said. Am I clutching at straws here? I just wonder if it was really Genshin Asogi's last will and testament that the sender of that directive was after. Continue with your testimony then, witness. Is there anything here that actually says what he was wearing at the time? Clint. I don't really have anything to say if he was wearing a kimono or not at the moment, so let's just press. In Mr. Asogi's kimono? Aye, the one he brought with him when he was locked up. Yes, he was permitted to have his personal effects with him during his incarceration, I understand. That's right. He was granted as much freedom as possible during his few days before the execution. Indeed, he had a number of items of personal significance, I remember. He was very reluctant to part with them. Some books, and a kimono. His sword. His sword? A Karuma, the famous sword of the Asogi clan. It bears the soul of my family. I don't doubt it, but I wasn't really getting at that. Forget it being the soul of the clan, could the man have had more obvious weapons? Or a more obvious weapon? Have some respect, Ryunosuke. Respectful silence? The warders carry firearms all the time and the inmates have shackles upon their ankles. You couldn't have hurt anybody with that thing. Or with him wearing body armor as well. Still, he was allowed a sword but no riding utensils? Aye. He wrote that will before he came to stay with us at Berkeley, you see. Dr. Mikotoba was asked to bring the necessary Japanese writing implements to the prosecutor's office. As Suzuru inkstone, black sumi ink, and some Hanshi rice paper, no doubt. I was present when he wrote it. But I'm sorry to say, the letter's just like squirming massive black earthworms to me. You distracted me from doing the accent, man. Are you feeling fake, Mr. Vigil? Mr. Vigil! Sir, it was Scarlet, sir. What? Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to blurt out like that. Maybe if you stop spinning around, less swaying and more explaining would be helpful. Is this something about the testimony we just heard? Have you recorded something of importance? Something of importance? Possibly, but possibly not. I'm unable to tell which way he's leaning, I'm afraid. My lord, the defense asks that Mr. Vigil be permitted to supplement his testimony with this possible or possibly not important detail. Permission granted. Go ahead, Mr. Vigil. Yes, it was Scarlet. A study in Scarlet, anyone? As I remember it, the document was written in Scarlet ink, but perhaps I'm mistaken.
Hold it!
Scarlet, you say? Frankly, Scarlet, I don't give a damn. Well, yes, I mean, I only caught sight of it for a brief moment, of course. But even by the dim light in the cell, I remember thinking that it was the unusual colour. At the very least, I'm quite sure it wasn't black. Witness, is that really what you saw? What, sir? Is something wrong, Lord Strongheart? I apologize. Continue. What do you make of that, Mr. Naruhodo? For Lord Strongheart to be so visibly shaken in that way, was it written in invisible ink? Or can he not see red? Och, didn't he have her? You can plainly see the writing here, as it's black as the Earl of Hell's waistcoat. Well, yes, you're right. He's just colorblind, yeah. Mr. Vigil, I'd like to confirm one point with you. Did you actually see the contents of the document that Mr. Asogi was holding that night? Oh, well, no. I mean, there was no time. As soon as he noticed me there, he hid it behind his back. But he was definitely a will, wasn't it? Yes, it was. That's what Mr. Asogi told me. The court need no waste further time on this matter. We have the will in question in our possession. There is nothing more to add. A will written in scarlet ink? What did Mr. Vigil really see Kazuma's father holding, I wonder? If you had an inkling, Mr. Naruhodo, you must present it at court at once. Inkling, get it? Because of ink. That testimony doesn't give much away. So this will was really penned by Kazuma-san's father. I wonder what he could possibly have meant when he described it as a weapon. It's starting to sound very much like Mr. Asogi actually had nothing. But the plan to break out of jail went ahead, which means he must have had some sort of bargaining power. He must have been hiding something. It's the only explanation that makes sense. It's starting to sound like Mr. Asogi actually might have had something. Which is it, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm not sure, but I feel as though I'm on the brink of understanding all of this. Is it going to be the plot twist that it's actually... The red thing is not actually a scarf, it's actually the written will and testament of the guy, and he's like, I've written in red ink, but I've covered the entire thing in red ink, so no one can see it. Let's listen to all the information again and see what more we can learn. We can't overlook even the smallest detail. Absolutely. Alright, to the last one. Okay. Let's have a look-see. Plot twist, he's colorblind. I read that already. I don't know why I read it again. I don't... I'm actually really starting to think if my guess is actually correct here. Well, this is circled in red ink. Maybe Asogi did it. We still have this photo, but it's not really been coming up as evidence lately. I don't know what it's for. Why is this still highlighted? I already read this. I don't know why it's coming up again. I want to see what lies beneath, don't you? I'm not sure that quite qualifies how to put it. I must have used lots of bird lime to keep it in place on your head, so it doesn't get blown off in a gust of wind. That might be a little inconvenient. If you wanted to take off again, you know what you think? I wonder if these side things are like to put around your ears. I didn't notice them before, but... Oh, it was evidence wants to prove that gossip was vigil? Okay, it's been a while, so I didn't really quite remember that. I mean, the way that this is worded makes me think it is the sword.
Objection.
Nah. Gregson just like to cosplay. I only have 1 hit point left. Let's save before I ruin it all. Scarlet ink. I start from the beginning and see if anything has actually got anything that says, like, ink on it. It seems somewhat suspicious in nature. It appears to have no particular distinctive facial features. Written on the back of a ticket. 10 years ago. Desk. Nothing about ink there. Nothing about ink there. It'd be funny if, like, the candle that we found is actually the secret all along. Displayed rather prominently. Impossible. Victim. There's a bloody handprint. H. Cody Tyvert with a red hair piece near his head. Scotland Yard. This one Testament. Subsequently recovered. Visual travel. Carried out procedure. The doctor we could talk about putting the report. Okay. Oh, there's no point in examining this because we already examined it. This doesn't rotate or anything. Look at his mouth. Look at his nose. This doesn't have any sort of crimson writing on it. Professor Mikotoba has wonderful handwriting, doesn't he? This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. Is it just me, or does that make me sound extremely untrustworthy? I do wish he'd at least call you a nice young man. I'm really not sure that would help. Off topic, but why does the center of the Lindt chocolate balls taste cold? Because it's the best part. It's fully been revoked. Jesus gets being confiscated for report. Be the convict engaged in some sort of negotiation with prison staff. Wait, wasn't the autopsy say that his fingers had red ink on them? Where is it? Yeah, scarlet ink visible on the little and ring finger of the right hand.
Objection.
I just remembered that. scarlet-coloured writing is what you said you thought you saw, Mr. Vigil. And I believe that's exactly what you did see. What? Hours again, you've got no evidence to say that. Everyone's shouting at me, I'm sorry. Everyone's going like, there we go, he remembers at last, finally. Welcome, Saroon. Have a look at this report. That's my brother Clint's autopsy report. He actually said it. Yes, and there's something in here that bothered me since I first read it. It states that scarlet-coloured ink stains were noted on the finger of the victim's hand. Yes, so it does. Scarlet ink? Now, I'm not familiar with the habits of the British aristocracy, I freely admit. But I would hazard a guess that they don't go all around with ink stains on their fingertips, do they? Your wit is not appreciated. My brother Clint was a well-bred and fastidious man. Should ink have sullied his fingertips, he would have cleaned them immediately. What is your point, counsel? My point is this. Whatever Lord Clinton Van Zeeks was writing in that unusually coloured ink, it must have been directly before his death, because he died before he had the opportunity to clean his hand. What? I remember something troubling at the time. At the scene that led my brothers on my inkwell was open. Too much sass, yeah. I'm trying to get into the voice, so I'm making him have sass when it's not appropriate. That's my bad. My brother Clint was punctilious about such things. It seemed unusual. And no document penned in the colour of the ink that was on the inkwell was ever found. So the document had disappeared. Are you suggesting that the document my father had in his hand that night in his cell was the same document that Lord Clint Van Zeeks was writing moments before his death? Then, it was... If Mr. Vigil's testimony is to be believed, it can only mean that, yes. Mr. Vigil! Sir! When you spotted Mr. Osogi with the writing document in his hand, or the document in his cell, his precise words were as follows, were they not? Oh, I've got to put the flashback sound back on. Alright then, what's on that paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. A last will and testament. If the conversation really did go as Mr. Vigil says, then what we now know completely changes the meaning of what Mr. Osogi said. You really think? Mr. Vigil did indeed see the convict with a will, but it wasn't that of Genshin Osogi. It was the last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. No. What?
Objection!
This is madness. My brother's last will and testament. He's like he's about to rip off his mask or something. And that would mean he chose to die. That is what it would mean, yes. No, impossible. That utterly is out of the question. Lord Van Zeeks. Clint was pursuing the professor. It consumed him day and night. Whatever happened, he would never have abandoned his investigation before its conclusion. Never. He wouldn't rest until the job was done, until the killer was caught. The idea that he would willingly accept his own death is obscene.
Objection!
And yet we can be sure that he was writing his will moments before his death. I think Van Zeeks needs a hug, Balaroth. And that Genshin Asogi came to be in possession of that document. So what could the will possibly have contained? Clearly something that could be made public under any circumstances whatsoever. Because armed with that document, my father was able to negotiate with the judiciary for his life. It was something so damning that it prompted the powers to be enacted that daring jailbreak. Yes, there could be no question that the will contained information of the utmost secrecy. Information of the utmost secrecy? Oh, excuse me, it burst midway through that. No, it couldn't be. I've heard more than enough. Pursuing this notion of a phantom will nobody contest to having seen serves absolutely no purpose.
Objection!
No, my lord, that's unacceptable. What did you say, counsel? The last will and testament of the Genshin Asogi had in his possession that of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. All the testimony and evidence presented to the court has logically led to that as a possibility. We have a duty to pursue the line of reasoning to its conclusion. I'm sorry. Just reading chat of the utmost secrecy burp. It was not intentional. It came out of nowhere. But with no possible means of knowing the contents of the document, there is no line of reasoning to pursue. He's having his moment. A reason why Lord Clink Van Zeeks, a man of high noble standing, would have chosen death. Information so secret, people in the judiciary would be willing to negotiate the jailbreak of a condemned killer. Clint Van Zeeks was actually the Reaper all along. Before. Well, the Professor, not the Reaper. I had that mixed up. The only explanation that fits those facts is an unthinkable truth that turns absolutely everything on its head. But it's just too hideous. Mr. Naruhodo, however difficult the situation might become, you work with your client in pursuit of the truth. That's why you resolved to do, or what you resolved to do when you entered the courtroom this morning, if I'm not mistaken, Mrs. Zado. So hold your head high and keep soldiering on. Yes, you're right. 10 years ago, in his final moments, Lord Clint Van Zeeks left behind a will. A will that Genshin Asogi was able to use as a weapon to negotiate the escape from prison. In all probability, the details in the will were related to Professor's case. The defense's last statement is mere conjecture. What are you getting at, man? Ryunosuke? That's a bit weird. My throat went weird there. As soon as these words come out of my mouth, there's no going back. I believe that the last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks was, in fact, a report, an accusation, a confession. It was clearly a report on his monthly earnings. It's probably this. You could do this, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe that what Lord Clink Van Zeeks actually penned that day was a confession. A confession? Regarding the mass murderer known as the Professor and his true identity.
Objection!
Enough, counsel. What are you saying? Do you even realize I've lost his voice all of a sudden? A confession about the true identity of the Professor. That would mean... Lord Van Zeeks, I appreciate that this must be hard to take in. But it's the only explanation that fits. The killer that terrorized London a decade ago and became known as the Professor. The man believed to have murdered five members of the aristocracy. Wasn't Genshin Asogi at all. No, you can't be suggesting. It was in fact the man believed to have been the fifth victim. Lord Clint Van Zeeks himself. It's like he's been shot in the face. These two reactions. It's finally over, isn't it? Pandora's box. The great Van Zeeks family had been thoroughbreds for the British aristocracy for years. And Lord King Van Zeeks, he was a paragon of justice in the capital. But he was actually a mass murderer, a perpetrator of atrocities of the vilest nature. If the general public ever found out, law and order in this country would be finished. My brother, Clint. Oh, this is too awful. Poor Lord Van Zeeks. I wonder, though, did he never suspect? Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Barrack Van Zeeks is a brilliant prosecutor. Is it conceivable that he didn't realize what his older brother really was? Order! Order in the court! Lord Van Zeeks. The professor made use of an enormous hound as his murder weapon. Tell me, did your brother own a dog? Yes, he did. Balmung. Oh wow, you named it after Balmung? Cool. He was a well-known hunting dog. People called him a giant. I don't believe this. When my brother Clint would go... Every time now, I read that automatically as that. Would go hunting in the forest of the grounds behind his house. He always took Balmung. After Clint's death, the creature passed away too. Almost as if he were following his master. He was a magnificent hunting dog, worthy of the jewel-studded collar around his neck. A jewel-studded collar? That's right. Though sadly, some years ago now, it was stolen by a thief who broke into the house one night. A jewel-studded collar, stolen by a thief, which we remember was back when we did the waxwork place. They had it in with the false body, if I remember correctly. It so happens that myself and my colleagues might have come across such a collar during our time in London. How could you? There was an old emblem attached to the collar too, made of pure gold. Yeah. It was topped with a small crown and bore an ornate or capital letter B. You named your Palamute Balmung in Monster Hunter? Cool. Watch out, he's gonna die. What? An emblem bearing the initial B. Oh my, do you know it? It's the insignia of the Baskerville family. What? The Baskerville? Why is that name coming up now? Baskerville is the family name of my late brother Clint's widow. God damn it. He was married? That pure gold emblem was an heirloom which Clint acquired upon their marriage. There can be no doubt then the collar you described was Balmung's. The family insignia of Lord Clint Van Zeek's widow. There was a considerable amount of blood on the collar when we saw it. Since we know the dog was used for hunting, it could have been from its quarry, of course. But it could equally have been from human prey. So it's true then. Clint Van Zeeks really was the professor. Impossible! These Japanese are making it all up to exonerate their own! So, in fact, the person responsible for these murders of nobles and royals was a noble himself. And that threatened to be an enormous scandal that would irrevocably destabilize British society. My father knew that and was using it to negotiate his way out of the unjust charges brought against him. But at the very last hour, those he bargained with betrayed him, slaying him mercilessly on foreign soil. Well, can you deny it, Lord Strongheart? 10 years have passed. And still now, the 6 million inhabitants of our great capital may rest easy believing that justice was done. that though his anonymity remains, the diabolical murder was caught and executed. Very well, then. You may have the truth. And nothing but. 9 viewers, nice. Tell me then. Tell me what Clint really was. Lord Clint Van Zieks was pure of heart. When he became a prosecutor and went in pursuit of the black roots of crime, he drove himself into a corner. He came to the uncomfortable realization that to fight the most fiendish of criminals requires one to become even more fiendish oneself. Clint. The 19th century was truly a miraculous 100 years of Great Britain, and indeed the whole world. New industry, new technology, and with the birth of the Metropolitan Police Service, new law and order. But these dazzling new developments meant ever deeper shadows were cast on society. Water sullied by factories, air thick with noxious fumes and crime, growing daily to fill the darkness. Lord Clint Van Zieks made it his mission to combat that darkness. But as time went on, it slowly ate at his soul, until eventually he was consumed. I was kind of hoping they'd do like a cool post of like having a model for him, and he like turns towards, he's like, his back is facing the camera, and he turns towards it, and his eyes like a red or something, and he's just all shadowed. That'd be cool. It's ironic, really, and somewhat surprising that the truth has once again been unearthed by a Japanese. Oh, once again? Oh, what do you mean? 10 years ago, your father, Genshin Asogi, turned up at my office one night. Hold on a minute. The professor? Yes, beyond all shadow of a doubt. You must issue a warrant to search his home at once. Don't be absurd. The man comes from one of the country's most illustrious families. He's a paragon of justice here in the capital. Yes, that's the point. That's why none of you British can see it. He's using his noble status as a diversion, whilst he commits those atrocious crimes behind the scenes. Do you have evidence? Nothing definitive as yet, but he keeps an enormous savage hound on the estate. We need the full support of the judiciary on this. We're up against a member of the aristocracy. So a large family estate has a fierce guard dog. You should know that's commonplace here in Britain. I'm sorry, but I can't possibly put Scotland Yard onto this based on the tenuous accusation of a visiting student. So I turned down Asogi's plea. And as a result, he took it upon himself to visit the Van Zieks mansion on his own. We can only imagine now what happened between the two men. Though we know the outcome, of course, Lord Clint Van Zieks perished. I imagine they had this like epic battle and everything, and like they had to fight the dog as well, and he put the sword in the dog's mouth like, "No, you will not eat me!" Wah! And there's a big anime moment and everything, and then explosions. And then it ends with a thunderstorm as he stands over the body of Clint, dead. I don't believe this. So, in actual fact, Kazuma-sama's father he made the late Lord Van Zieks meet the same fate. He put a permanent end to Professor killings by taking the drastic measure of ending the perpetrator's life. But if that's the case, how did he end up writing a will and testament then? As soon as I had heard, I hurried to the mansion. When I arrived, it was easy to grasp what had happened. And? Oh, what about the will? Asogi must have already taken it. Nothing of that nature was found at the scene. And then Clint in the Family Guy death pose. We had no idea of the existence of such a document at that time. But then who shot him when he got up out of the grave? I was the only person who knew the true identity of the professor. So, I resolved to keep it a secret, and to guard the secret to the bitter end. So you admitting to it? That you were behind it all? It was you, then, who pinned the crumbs on my father! I did what needed to be done in order to protect the law and order of the British Empire. Even if that meant employing unforgivable ruses. Or ruse. Then it was you who arranged this fabricated evidence. I ordered that detective to take care of it, whilst keeping the truth from him, naturally. Gregson. Oh, Gregson. Obviously, he opposed me at first. Oh, gotta put the flashback voice on again. I should just leave this open or something. Oh, you're off your rocker. You can't do something like that. There's no question that it was Asogi who murdered Lord Van Zeeks. The house staff had made statements that they saw the man running from the mansion that night. Yes, well, I've no doubt it was the Japanese fella. But we haven't had a shred of conclusive evidence against the man. And worse than that, he doesn't keep a dog. So we're short of a murder weapon to boot. And we're short on time, Gregson. We must put a stop to this man's rampage for the good of the country. So we'll use whatever means necessary. Do I make myself clear, detective? Blimey. No, Gregson! So that night 10 years ago was when I was attacked by those thugs in the back streets. And Genshin's ring was taken. That was him, was it? That was the Gregson and some hired help. Hold on a minute, something just popped up for me. Let me just check that. Okay. Sorry, I thought something was wrong because I saw a pop-up appear. Then the detective handed the stolen ring to Dr. Wilson, who feigned his discovery from the victim's stomach during that autopsy. In the light of that decisive evidence, Mr. Asogi was found guilty of the charges brought against him. However, behind the scenes, he had actually already struck a deal with his accusers, in which he agreed to silently accept the charges. But I just don't believe that part. As far as I knew the man, my father despised such underhanded dealings. It was extremely easy to make him comply. You see, he had one crippling weakness. You! What? Weakness? Isn't it obvious? You... Oh, right! Kazuma Asogi. Me? Oh my god! Perhaps you have no desire to return to your homeland, Asogi. What? Though I hear you have a 14-year-old son. Agree to cooperate and accept your guilt without contention, and you will see Japan and your son again. You scoundrel! Whether you choose wisely or not, it will be a closed trial by order of Her Majesty. So whatever rash claims you might make in court will have no trouble in stifling them. There's only one outcome for you, Asogi: the gallows. Don't forget, that I still have a weapon at my disposal. A document revealing a truth that I know you're desperate to keep hidden. Yes, it hadn't escaped my mind, which is the only reason I'm willing to bargain with you. You can't just make unhinged joke predictions, they always come true. Hey, it's not my fault that I somehow know everything from the get-go. I only want to protect this country's law and order. You understand? Screw everyone else, just our country matters. So what's it to be, Asogi? Kazuma. He did it for me. As I told him at the time, my motive was simply to protect Britain from the damage the truth would do. To protect this country's law and order, at any cost. Why are you smiling about that?
Objection!
I've never... wrong voice. I've never dared myself to even consider this possibility until now. But in the light of all of this treachery, I have to ask. The mastermind behind the Reaper of the Bailey. Was it you, Lord Mael Strongheart? A rather brilliant idea, would you say, Lord Barak von Zeeks? That the spirit of your late brother, that paragon of justice, should return to reap justice for his sibling. Could there be a more appetizing tale for London's masses, I ask you? What brazen? I knew that you played the part to perfection. But your role really wasn't that of some embodiment of death. No, you were London's guardian angel. An angel with bloody hands, I think not. Those who had cooperated with me already were none too happy to participate in my plan. Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson. My minions worked tirelessly to ensure the finger of guilt would never come to rest on you. Why'd you say it like your minions, like you're some sort of evil mastermind? This isn't like a cartoon. It's all thanks to them that you were exalted as a demigod the Reaper became. But Dr. Wilson left Britain 4 years ago when he was invited to work in Japan. That's right. So I had to employ the services of this young protege after that. Dr. Courtney Scythe. Dr. Scythe? So what with the execution of the processor and the subsequent reign of the Reaper of the Bailey? I've successfully safeguarded law and order in our mighty capital for the past decade. That is everything. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, I do hereby confess it was I who sired the concept of the Reaper. However, let me say in my defense, it was all for the preservation of law and order across the entire empire. Lord Strongheart did it. An unforgivable collection of crimes, but still, all those who died at the Reaper's hand were rotten to the core anyway. If it was all in the aid of keeping London safe. Oh, this is different. There is no one left now who can reveal the precise truth of what happened 10 years ago. Therefore, this trial can go no further. Now, I would like to entreat all those present. Beyond these 4 walls, nobody need know the truth. Even Her Majesty must be protected from this. For some reason. I trust you all to appreciate the importance of my request. It is, of course, for the good of the country. Can he do this? Can the trial really end now?
Hold it!
I have one last question. For the accused, Lord Van Zeeks. What? Of course, I know that you're a highly accomplished prosecutor. So I find it hard to believe that you didn't have any doubts at all. That you never suspected your older brother. Yes, the same thought occurred to me. It was only once, but yes, I couldn't say that I never had any doubts. Why did I say that sarcastically? My brother Clint's sense of justice was extremely strong. Perhaps too strong, I observed. At that time, there were members of the aristocracy who were bleeding the country dry for their own gain. And since they were nobles, they were untouchable. For my brother Clint, it was a source of great turmoil. And coincidentally, at the same time, the professor began his terrifying reign. During the time of the professor's killings, my brother did not appear to be himself. And that made you suspect? Yes. But it was only once, not more. Only once, really? Clint wasn't the culprit. That was my conclusion at the time. And I still believe that now. Do you have any evidence to support that idea? The third victim was Lord Chief Justice at the time. It was he who had recognized my brother's potential and trained him as a prosecutor. No matter what the circumstances, it's unthinkable that my brother Clint could have killed his friends and monster. God damn it! I can't do it! I can't stop doing that! That will do. Neither Clint Van Zeeks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. But there are only two extant pieces of evidence from the time. The woe-begone ring that acted as the incriminating evidence condemning Genshin Asogi, and the 3-page last will and testament penned in the black ink and left behind by the man. The wretched truth of what happened is exactly as I have explained. You're continuing to do it makes it so much better. Yes, you've ruined me, Baloroth. How could you? Later today, I'll present myself at the Ministry of Justice for whatever sanction is deemed appropriate. That is all. Court is adjourned. Objection! Hold it!
Objection!
Yeah! 1 second. Thank you, Kazuma. Me? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have made this 11th hour discovery. What discovery? And why do you keep having so many? It's like you're a protagonist. My lord, I'm afraid I must insist the trial continues. I beg your pardon. As the court has been reminded already today, we must stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth. And to that end, one particular statement made by somebody in this courtroom moments ago revealed a very subtle contradiction. What contradiction? But all I did was ask the accused one simple question. Oh, you weren't paying attention, were you, Kazuma? Yeah! Imagine not paying attention to what was being said. Well, it began with Lord Van Zeeks and his recollection about his brother. But Lord Strongheart didn't permit the defendant to speak at length. I merely pointed out that we can draw no further useful conclusions here. So what on earth is the contradiction? One of them definitely just said something contradictory. It's time to identify who. Well, we had two people saying things. Can I look at the history, or is that too far back now? Never had my doubts. At the time, there were members of the aristocracy who were bleeding the country dry, and since they were nobles, they were untouchable for my brother. Because at the same time, the professor began his terrifying reign. During the time of the professor's killings, my brother did not appear to be himself. But it was only once. Clint wasn't the culprit, that was my conclusion at the time, and I still believe that now. The third victim was the Lord Chief Justice at the time. It was he who recognized my brother's potential and trained him as a prosecutor. No matter what circumstances, it's unthinkable that brother could kill his friend and mentor. That'll do. Neither Clint Van Zeeks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth, however... went a bit too far. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. There are two extant pieces of evidence from the time. The woe-begone ring. Begone, thought. It's like, begone, ring. That acted as the incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Asogi, and the 3-page Last Will and Testament penned in black ink. 3-paged. Is it 3-paged? I thought it was only 2. Yeah, it's only 2 pages. There's still one missing. It was Lord Strongheart. It was Lord Strongheart, and I'm sure of it. Something he said was slightly off. Come on, Ryunosuke. Think back over his words. Find the problem. We just had this. I guess I'll have it on echo. Neither Clint Van Zeeks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. There are only 2 extant pieces of evidence from the time. The woe-begone ring that acted as incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Asogi, and the 3-page Last Will and Testament penned in black ink and left behind by the man. I am smart, yes! Lord Stronger, would you care to explain? Explain what, Counsel? Among the statements you just made a few moments ago, something you said was inconsistent with a certain piece of evidence we have. Inconsistent. And whilst an inconsistency remains, the defense has a right to pursue an explanation. Ryunosuke, what? Let me warn you about the statements you are making, Counsel. They may very well prove fatal. I'm gonna kill you! You claim my words contained a contradiction. Which piece of evidence, I'm asking you? I wonder if at this point it would have been like a full health bar taken out.
Take that!
This here is the will left by Mr. Asogi. The 2-paged will. What? Yet moments ago, your precise words were the 3-page Last Will and Testament. Could it be that there was a 3rd page? For a moment I thought perhaps you identified something worthwhile, but it is a mere trifle I see. A trifle? Governor Caden. Eh? Oh, I can't do for you, sir. You were present when the Japanese man penned his last will and testament. Aye, I was there for sure. I remember the black venom scrawling like this day. And I'm quite certain, my lord, that there was a 3rd page at the time. What? Only the first 2 pages were the actual will, though. If I mind correctly, the 3rd was a message to his lad back in Japan. For legal purposes, we required only his will. And we couldn't have wanted any comfortable words about Britain getting back to Japan, eh? So it was decided that the 3rd page ought to be sent.
Objection!
How dare you make that decision? You had a right to know what it said, to hear my father's final words to me. The courtroom has no place for sentimentality, Counsel. As it happens, I have the 3rd page of the document with me here now. My father's message! It will be given to you at the end of these proceedings. It'll be too late once the trial is over. We need to know what it says now. Even the slightest thing may give us a final clue. My lord, the defense calls for Genshin Asogi's last words to his son to be read out loud before the court now. Your request is denied. The inevitably maudling words can be of no consequence now.
Objection!
The prosecution agrees. This court should know the contents of that message. Every possible piece of evidence must be thoroughly examined. Very well, then. He immediately folds. As soon as the prosecutor's like, no! He's like, okay, fine. Very well, then. Governor Caden. You will read the third page of the document for all present to hear. Oh, yes, sir. Only, I should point to it, my lord. That I can actually read random language. I don't know who this is. This beautiful handwriting. Shame on you, Barry. Oh, it's you. Okay. If I could be of assistance here, I would be happy to translate the words into English for the court. Father. You're still here, are you, Dr. Mikotoba? Naturally. I consider myself a member of the judiciary, albeit a lowly one. But perhaps I should quietly withdraw after I've translated some messages. Your cooperation is much appreciated, he said through gritted teeth. Kazuma, the truth is shrouded in darkness, a darkness only our clan's great sword can pierce. Mighty Karuma, twist thy head and watch them fall, all the mortal foes. Is it literally just going to be that? I'm not going to know. I'm not going to do a prediction because it's probably going to be true. Okay, I'm going to wait. That's the end of the message, it would seem. Haiku poem. Twist thy head. Father. What is Karuma? The name of the Asogi clan's famous sword. A razor-sharp blade known to all, passed down for generations. It embodies the Japanese spirit. It's not known to me. Say it. I'm just going to say that it's probably that we're going to have to twist off the end of the sword or something. Like the hilt or whatever. And then there's like a secret message inside that has all the details and is actually where the real document was put all along. Everyone being mean to me. I didn't say it. It's the katana sword that was submitted as evidence earlier in these proceedings. The one worn by the prosecution's counsel when he confronted Inspector Gadget. Inspector Gregson. Why did I say Inspector Gadget? The details of the Asogi papers have been updated to the court record. Oh no, can I actually read it now? All these procrastinations are beginning to try my patience. A German of this court is long overdue. Let's have a look at it first. Get Asogi here, request that upon my death, all material possessions and wealth belonging to me in London to be delivered to my son, Akami Asogi. It was deep sadness I accept my fate in this foreign land and the knowledge that I will never see my homeland again, but I regret nothing about my chosen path. Kazuma, the truth is shrouded in darkness, a darkness only our great clan's sword can pierce. Mighty Karuma, twist thy head and watch them fall, all thy mortal foes. Can I actually... Oh. The mighty Karuma, twist thy head and watch them fall, all thy mortal foes. That's the proper way to use the sword, is it? Maybe I should try it. It hurts my neck, but that's the trouble. Mr. Naruhodo, if I might make a suggestion, I think perhaps it doesn't mean your head. Oh. I once studied the history and development of the katana some time ago, and as I'm sure you're probably aware, the sword's head is the part at the very end of the hilt. Actually, that's called the pommel. It's written as the head in Japanese, but it's pronounced as kashira, I believe. How would you think you believe that? You're Japanese. You would know the word. Kashira. So Mr. Asogi's words really meant twist the butt of the hilt? You don't think... Oh, I knew it! I knew it! They didn't even prompt me to do this, and I just did it! Look what's inside. Is that a tightly wound sheet of parchment? Oh. Scarlet ink. It's written in scarlet ink. I penned this, my last will and testament. in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. This is it, isn't it? Mr. Naruhodo, look at the signature at the end. Clint Van Zeeks. I mean, you can kind of see that, actually. That actually kind of looks more like Cassat Van Lark or something. Clint Van Zeeks. And the date, 10 years ago on that fateful night. So for 10 years, it's been silently concealed inside Karamar and nobody knew. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. Wait. Oh my goodness. Look at this. This is unbelievable. I can't read it, so I can't look at it. A trump card left by Genshin Asogi. You want me to examine the sword again? Foaming at the mouth right now. Karuma the Great Blade. It's such a thing of beauty. I want to glaze on it. Gaze on it, not glaze. The tip of the great sword broken. Well, there's nothing else coming up. I assume I'll just click this just in case. Twist thy hair and watch them fall. All thy mortal foes will dolls. Cosmo's father certainly had a way with words, and he certainly thought of an ingenious hiding place too. It almost seems playful at first, but I wonder if over the years, perhaps, the duties of a Sogi kind can actually be called such inventiveness. Protecting great secrets, you mean? Those sort of duties? Well, I could believe that. Cosmo conducts himself like someone with the weight of his clan's long and noble history on his shoulders. Achievement! Yay! I can't actually look at it. It's not letting me. I guess it's because it's got a big reveal in it. That's probably that, you know, Strongheart is actually the professor. As the presiding judge, I have been accommodating as possible of the will of the courtroom. However, despite all that, no new information has come to light. In pursuit of justice, Lord Clint Van Zeeks tragically lost all sense of morality. When he murdered his former mentor, clearly he was already devoid of his normal faculties.
Objection!
How dare you? I refuse to believe that of my brother, Clint. Too much time has passed. We cannot ever hope to know more than we do now. Especially since the alleged will that he penned in his final moments appears to have been lost forever. Lord Strongheart, you appear to be in something of a hurry to wrap things up. I wonder why. We've heard your statement time and again during these proceedings. That everything you did was in the interests of protecting British law and order. And I stand by that. Without the Reaper, we could never have achieved the reduction in crime the capital has seen. That is bullshit! We don't have a mass murderer right now in Britain. Crime's still gone down. And then went back up. But you get the point. One person is not going to be enough to take down all of crime.
Objection!
What about Inspector Gregson then? And Dr. Wilson. They were no criminals. You used them to achieve your ends, and then you had them killed. However, you dress it up. There was nothing fair or just about that. Appears to have been lost forever. Runo just found it. Lord Strongheart, what exactly is it that you're hiding? I'm hiding your mama, Dr. Mikotoba. Will you not quietly withdraw from after the translation of your former associate's will? In this courtroom, no argument carries weight unless it is supported by evidence. And it would seem that the defense has no more evidence to present. In which case, I hereby all discourse from these proceedings to be struck from the record. This is my last chance. Mr. Naruhodo, I have to present some decisive evidence now, or it's all over. But can I? Yes, I can. Because I just found it. Wait, my lord. As it happens, the defense does have evidence to present. What? Don't be absurd. There's nothing of relevance remaining at the time.
Objection!
It's high time you realize something, my lord. This gentleman. He's not calling this Japanese man. It's like this gentleman has an uncanny habit of producing evidence at the final hour that had escaped everyone else's attention. Nonsense. What is it, Ryunosuke? What do you have? I dare say, the final decisive piece of evidence that will reveal the whole truth about this rotten tale. How can you? Decisive. Well, it would appear that no escaping it now, my lord. Let it be so, then. Present whatever you think you have can settle the decade-long enigma if you're capable. Imagine if he, calls it, he's like, it's not like you have the will, anyway. What exactly is that evidence that the defense has claimed to be so decisive?
Take that!
There's a single piece of evidence that we can clarify what really happened 10 years ago. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. Ha! A wonderfully astute observation, I'm sure. But in case it had escaped your notice, the document was lost long ago. I guess I'm doing a laugh for him. That's right, it was. Only... I have it right here. Discovered just moments ago. Impossible. That can't be. Everything that's happened comes back to his will. This document is the key that would unlock the entire mystery. My brother Clint's last will and testament. Where did you find that? It was rolled up inside this. Inside Kuruma? Oh, that's a different face for him there. The ultimate weapon Geshin Asogi obtained his lamed undisturbed in the hilt of the sword all these years. Love how Strongheart in the bench didn't see Runo and Suzato fiddling with the sword. It was like they're just playing around. Just waiting for the right time to emerge and reveal the truth. The signature seal certainly looks official. My God, it's true. It's my brother Clint's handwriting. There could be no mistake. God damn it, every time! I forbid the contents of the document from being read out. Do you hear me? I strictly forbid it.
Objection!
You can't do that, my lord. This document could explain everything. That document could literally destroy the meaning of justice in this country. No, just you. I demand that you hand it to me at once. Why? Were you trying to hide? Could it be that you already know what's written on this page? What are you implying? Court is adjourned with immediate effect. Clear the courtroom. Everyone get out. No one gets to see my shame. Immediate effect. Clear. Shut up, me. Yeah, I got it.
My shame.
You don't need to tell me. Do. There we go. Sorry about that. Barrett for real got that gamer posture. He's literally me. You should predict what's in the will. Oh, Stronger is actually the Reaper, and he loves his brother, and he believes that Asogi is not the killer, and it will prove it with his death or something. And the ring actually has something too.
Objection!
Do that, my lord, and you'll suffer a fatal blow as Lord Chief Justice. I beg your pardon. Forcibly ending a trial without good reason? And not any trial, a closed trial by order of Her Majesty the Queen. To defy the monarch's will is treason. Roger Clint Van Zeeks really did pen a will that day. It is exactly as the young Japanese man said. Read it out now! We have a right to hear what is in the will. A right and a duty. Well, well, my lord. It would rather appear as though proceedings aren't quite going to quite as you'd hoped. You fools. Go ahead, Ryunosuke. Read it. The prosecution gives it full support. The leg of defiance. Very well, then. No, for God's sake. No! I penned this, my last will and testimony, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. The hour is 11 p.m. and I sit at my writing desk in my office. My good friend Asogi stands by my shoulder. He has expressed his intent to invoke the dying ritual of the jewel, that I may depart this world with honor. An honor of which I am utterly undeserving. The Japanese are truly a merciful people. I, Clint Van Zeeks, Lord of the Manor of Lord Van Zeeks' estate, hereby confess to the following. I am the killer who has come to be known in society as the Professor, guilty of 4 counts of murder. Ah. I will not hear discourse in the corruption rife among the aristocracy, which is to me, as one of them, so apparent. Wait, I will not hear discourse. Is that supposed to be here as in listening, or that doesn't seem right? However, 6 months ago, I took the life of a member of the House of Lords at the heart of the depravity. A demon who habitually sacrificed the common man to further his own interests, abusing his position of power. There's no echo on it because I'm like reading it as though I'm Naruhodo reading it in court. The law is impotent against such vile avarice. Only a velo demon can rid society of this menace. That demon was my quarry, upon whom I willingly set my own great hound. But though I am a hunter of some experience, I am a poor felon, it seems. Yeah, I know how to spell here, Raffatron. That's not what I'm getting at. I won't in this space talk about how corrupt the aristocracy were. Yeah, okay. I guess that's kind of what that's what it means. That makes sense, but could have written it better. My guilt was at once recognized by another, and I became subject to his extortion. He hailed over me the threat of exposing my wicked crime to my beloved wife and brother. Under that threat, I have done this man's bidding for months now, killing those he demanded I kill. So he only killed one person willingly, but the rest were all forced on him, as I watched my father mentor perish before my eyes at the jaws of the hound I commanded. I realized that I had lost the last shreds of decency within me, and sunk to the level of a wild beast. I mean, if your wife died, wouldn't it end up being that you wouldn't have to do that? There is no path back to the light, be it I or my dear friend Asogi who dies this night. I am eternally damned. To my extortioner, male Strongheart, may you feel the jaws of the beast at your throat every time you swallow. Oh, I was half right. He was still the Reaper who hired people to kill people. So now we know. Yes, Clint Van Zeeks was a murderer. But somebody was directing him and naming his victims. His extortioner, Lord Mael Strongheart. It was you. Lord Strongheart, a moment ago, you claimed that the court just heard could destroy justice in this corporate country. But you weren't trying to protect just justice at all. All you were trying to do was conceal the secret of your true nature and the countless lives you sacrificed up until now. It just didn't make sense to me that the third victim, the former Lord Chief Justice, was my brother's benefactor and a man of lofty principles. As I said, Clint had no possible reason to kill the man. But you did, didn't you, Lord Strongheart? To eliminate the man who stood between you and the office you'd set your sight on. So you used your own hunting dog, Lord Clint Van Zeeks, to take him down. The line goes so hard, yeah, it did. It had to be done. London's unsavory shadows are deep, and the arm of the law fails to reach their depths. Crime must be cut off at the roots, but the Lord Chief Justice at the time couldn't see that. He was weak. Lofty principles, you say? Tantamount to cowardice, if you ask me. Which is why I took his place, in order to fight the crime he was allowing to spread like wildfire. I mean, if you think about it, everything that he ended up building did end up turning out to be bad in some way. By murdering the man. The Reaper, the Professor, the names make no difference. As I've explained countless times already, it was all done for the furtherance of law and order in London.
Objection!
Are you going to legitimize the murder of my father now, too? Ah, Genshin Asogi. Well, that was unfortunate. I had fully intended to send him back to Japan as we'd agreed. I don't believe you! It was you, wasn't it? You killed him! No, it wasn't me who took your father's life. Then who? On the night following his mock execution, I went to Lowgate Cemetery at 3 in the morning with Jigoku. Judge Jigoku? Was it Judge Jigoku that shot him? There had been a collaborator on the Japanese side to manage Asogi's treatment after his repatriation. Jigoku had fierce ambition. It made him easy to manipulate. 10 years ago, after he stood trial for the destruction of the witness stand, I had words with him. When I told him the position of Minister of Foreign Affairs could be his, he couldn't agree fast enough. Seishiro, you fool. As you know, Asogi escaped the prison in a closed casket and was subsequently interred. We intended to dig him out of his grave before he ran out of air. But sadly, all did not go to plan. Ah! There was an unexpected visitor to the cemetery with his own ideas about digging up graves. A man who witnessed what nobody was supposed to see. Enoch Drebber. Of course, I knew grave robbers frequented London cemeteries. But that grave on that particular night... Blast! If people find out how the convict was really executed, the scandal will rock the very foundations of the Empire. Then what do we do? Shoot him, Mr. Jigoku. Shoot Asogi at once. Why don't you shoot the grave robber? That would have made more sense. He can't live now that this has happened. He has to go. What are you talking about? You had an agreement. You promised him he could return to Japan. I can't remember the voice I had for Judge Jigoku. Everything has changed now. If the truth got out because of this, both of us would be finished forever. Come on, Jigoku, do it. Pull the trigger. Shoot! Jigoku shot Asogi from the shadows. The grave robber was so close, the blood sprayed over his coat. He fled as fast as his leg would carry him. Then Jigoku and I put Asogi's body back in the grave from which he just emerged. Who cares about Drebber? No one would care. Oh, the dead guy in the cemetery. Oh, well, at least it's easy. We just put him in the ground. When I later learned of the waxwork modeler's presence at the scene as well, I made her swear to 2 things. Also, they could have dressed him up as the body of the Reaper or the Professor by taking the hat off or the face mask off and put it on the other guy, because they probably have the key. Right. When I later learned of the waxworks modeler's presence at the scene as well, I made her swear to 2 things. Never to remove the Professor's mask, and never to speak of the events of that night. And with that, the secret was buried along with Asogi's corpse. So, now you know what really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night. See, Kazuma? You were hating the wrong guy. Drebber's a loser and no one cares about him, okay? But I get your point. I get your point. It was Jigoku, your Japanese acquaintance, who'd killed Asogi in the end, you see. He claimed to be the man's friend, but when push came to shove, he pulled the trigger. Just before Mr. Jigoku left the courtroom earlier, he said that the assassin exchange proposal was a demand from his British counterpart, not a request. So you had coerced him too, using what happened in the graveyard. By that time, Jigoku was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, negotiating international treaties with Britain. You can't imagine what would have happened if it came to light he murdered a compatriot 10 years earlier. He would have lost everything. I merely reminded him of that. How do you sleep at night? With a pillow and a quilt. These past 10 years, I've fought tirelessly with the darker recesses of London's criminal underworld. And I've used whatever means necessary to ensure that justice prevails and law and order reign supreme.
Objection!
That couldn't be further from the truth. The fact is, you haven't fought crime at all. How dare you! I saved Clint Van Zieks from dishonor in his death.
Objection!
Whilst behind the scenes, you systematically buried anyone who stood in your way. And then, you made my father take the blame. It was unavoidable. It was the only way to protect our justice system and public order. Let's not forget the others you had killed as well. Setting the defendant up as the Reaper to cover up the truth behind the murders of countless more. That's enough. Do you have any idea of the conniving that led to the acquittals of those wretched criminals? We have to fight fire with fire. Our courts can't function without a Reaper. I mean, they've proven they can. Can't you all see I've done this for the country? This has been my struggle.
Objection!
You've done nothing. If Lord Van Zieks here, who worked tirelessly and justly in court, whilst enduring the disgrace of the Reaper name. And Inspector Gregson, fraught with anguish for having sullied his hands through a desire to do the right thing. Not to mention Genshin Asogi, who risked his life going in pursuit of the truth he tried to hide. You posted it? I'll have a look at it when we finish stream. Unfortunately, it seems as though when people at me in their community tabs, I don't see it. I don't get any notifications. I have to actually go to the page to see anything. No, the dark recesses of London's underworld were largely filled by you. You little... When will you get it through your thick skulls? I will kill you! That it was all for the Queen and country. I'm tiring of that excuse. You've consistently twisted the truth for bargaining power to make others do your bidding, and nothing more. He's brought safety and security to his new empire. People who willingly trust the truth and coerce others have no right to call themselves part of the judiciary. I strongly suggest you don't ever talk of justice again. can't do his voice for that long. Doing that roar. Is he doing the Gantt clap? Well, well, well. Dear my good fellows, dear me. A well-deserved round of applause, I think, for quite a marvellous performance. What are you talking about? These delightfully grave expressions that beautifully pronounce Queen's English. Our friends from the Far East are quite the picture of industriousness. You fraud, keep your mockery. Please don't misunderstand. It really is exactly as you both said. What are you trying to say? I have occupied the darker recesses of London's underworld and, how did you put it, done nothing. I confess it's a little embarrassing to have it pointed out quite so starkly, but yes. Everyone's doing Gantt clap in the chat. I have really done nothing, which means I could be indicted for nothing. No. No? What? It's true. Personally, I've committed no crime. I've merely been surrounded by fools who've enacted very rashly indeed.
Objection!
You can't get away with that. You're consistently preying on people's weaknesses. And what? Threatened them? Are you sure it wasn't just bargaining? No. Like, you can't just make that up. You can't just be like, oh, I told this guy to kill this guy, but it wasn't me. I don't get in trouble for that. No, that you get imprisoned for that. I would like to address all the good lords and ladies and gentlemen of the judiciary present. And you all know of these darker recesses in our great capital, and deep down I believe you also know that to fight those who dwell there requires at least some of us to occupy the darkness ourselves. Whew. How long have we been going for? 1 hour and 30 minutes, Jesus. So let me appeal to your good sense now. Consider the situation with me. If this catalogue of horrifying revelations were to become common knowledge among the 6 million inhabitants of London, what might happen? To learn that the infamous murder of royals and nobles was a respected member of the aristocracy himself. That evidence was fabricated in the scapegoat's trials amid secret negotiations with prosecutors to effect a jailbreak. That the Reaper of the Bailey was an organized... I need to read that chat in a minute. Was an organized group of assassins managed by a Scotland Yard inspector. Matter of... I told him to kill people as a joke. I didn't think he'd actually do it, Lamau. Strong heart. And finally, that it was all masterminded by the Lord Chief Justice himself. If the general public of Britain knew the truth, all faith in the police and the prosecutor's office would become completely lost, without doubt. Public order in the capital would completely break down. We'd be cast back to the lawless days of the last century. Precisely as it was 100 years ago when 1 in 10 of the population were criminals. Think what we've accomplished since then. A public policing force, a comprehensive set of laws. And if we want to continue to protect this new era of law and order, I'd say it again. We must at times occupy the darkness ourselves. We have successfully identified and apprehended the man responsible for taking Inspector Gregson's life. That is all that was expected of this trial. All these other matters that have been discussed might be eliminated from the minutes of these proceedings in the interest of preserving law and order. And to protect Her Majesty the Queen, of course. And then she says, I think I can speak for myself, Lord Strongheart. Well, my lords and ladies, gentlemen, what say you? He has a point. The things Lord Strongheart has done are quite unforgivable. But on the other hand, isn't it our duty to maintain law and order in the capital? You can't deny that the threat of the Reaper over the years has done wonders for the crime rate. And by by fair means or foul. Oh, that's all thanks to Lord Strongheart. Are you hearing this? This is the will of the British judiciary. For your rousing response, friends, I express my heartfelt gratitude. Therefore, in accordance with the overwhelming wishes of the court, the record shall be erased. You have to respect the man's ability to turn a situation to his favor. Lord Strongheart really is a master of manipulation. You conclusively proven his guilt, yet still he managed to evade justice. I just don't know what we can do. Rionosuke, it looks like the trial really is going to come to an end now. I'm almost out of options, I think. There's really only one path left open to me. Use evidence! Here we go! I know what to do! Yes, as I know only too well, the only thing that carries any weight in court is evidence. But, Mr. Naruhodo, what evidence is there to use at this stage in the trial? Yeah! I have an idea. I don't know anything or whether anything will come of it, but if there's ever a time for using this particular item we have among the evidence, it's now. I wonder what it could be!
Take that!
Oh my. Yes, Mr. Sholmes asked if you had that with you earlier. We've exposed all of Lord Strongheart's doing now. I've no doubt that Mr. Sholmes has already deduced exactly how the truth would unfurl. So I think it must be time for the great detective to take the entire center stage, don't you? Yes, absolutely. Let's take the hair by the ears then, and heave. Alright, here goes. Heave! Oh! My dear fellows, must I remind you every time? A gentle tug will suffice. Mr. Sholmes, you're looking in quite the wrong direction, Mr. Naruhodo. Because I'm over here. Mr. Naruhodo, he's... What? He's a hologram? He has hologram technology? What? It's Mr. Sholmes. He just advanced technology by like 100 years. I wasn't expecting you back, Sholmes. Delighted to be here again, Lord Strongheart. What is the meaning of this? Bailiff, seize him. Put that man in irons. This is a closed court. You've been warned once already, man. What the? We can't get a hold of him, my lord. We just go right through him. Is he just dancing? I'm afraid your efforts are wasted, you see. The great detective you see before you is composed entirely of light and shadow. An image, if you will. Mr. Naruhodo, I must congratulate you on a fine deduction. Mr. Sholmes, what on earth is... Are you familiar, I wonder, with the invention known as the telephone? Well, yes, I hear that some public telephones have been installed recently in Tokyo. The sound of the speaker's voice is converted to an electrical signal and transmitted instantly to another place. Quite. Sounds are transmitted. So could not images keep them company amused? Iris and I did some modest experimentation to develop such a device specifically for this day. Modest experimentation, Mr. Sholmes? What a modest description. Imagine the mocap for that dance. Yeah. And somewhat incidentally, I thought we might just use as well transmit an entire scene. Somewhat incidentally, Mr. Sholmes? Now you're just being immodest. Do you mean to say you're not actually here, Sholmes? Ah, I knew my trusty partner would have no trouble grasping the concept. Except he's grasping the stand to steady himself after your shocking revival. Oh, poor father. I would have hoped he might have been forewarned, being the great detective's great partner. Leave my courtroom at once. Get out, or I swear to you. Dear me, you, on the other hand, Lord Strongheart, appear to have a very poor grasp of the situation. Allow me to reiterate, I am not here, which would, I hope, lead naturally to one asking. I have to do a similar voice now. Where exactly are you? I guess the Reaper really was the one who slain. The very question I was awaiting. I am at present enjoying the air in a rather splendid garden. A garden? Not just any garden, you understand. The Royal Gardens. I knew it! I said it before he said it! A garden at Buckingham Palace. What? You can't be. Buckingham Palace. What's Buckingham Palace, Mr. Zado? I've never heard of it. Do you ever read the news, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Sholmes? Is Iris with you there? Well now, Iris is currently enjoying some tea. With Her Majesty. Her Majesty? Prepare Queen Victoria voice. Not just any Her Majesty, you understand. Her Majesty, the Queen of the British Empire. What? What on earth is all this about? Buckingham Palace is Her Majesty's the Queen's residence in London, Mr. Naruhodo. Order in court. I demand immediate silence. Her Majesty's the Queen. You can't be... I mean, no. This is some sort of unforgivably distasteful trickery by a third-rate detective. That's all. My joke predictions always seem to be true somehow. Unforgivable distasteful trickery? What an apt description. A closed court session aided by the elite members of the judiciary is a rare event. Or attended. Remember, kids, the only way to defeat someone abusing absolute power is to snitch to somebody with even more absolute power. Pretty much. I presumed that Her Majesty would be more than a little curious about the proceedings. So I decided to show her everything, from start to finish. Huh? You showed her? Indeed. By dint of her Herlock Sholmes' remote cinematograph. The cinematograph. You, meddling. This is some kind of nightmare. Just as I appear to be standing before you, regaling with you my talk of the latest invention. No doubt you've inferred that the reverse is also true. You don't mean... Her Majesty has seen and heard every moment of the proceedings. I assumed there would be no objection. After all, every trial in this country is conducted under her auspices of Her Majesty, as you know. You... Sholmes is the first streamer ever. I confess I am quite impatient to hear Her Majesty's opinion about the unforgivable, distasteful trickery in which you've been engaged over the past 10 years. No, I was merely... Oh, hi. Oh, so sorry to keep you all waiting. Vicky and I had so much to talk about. Iris, there you are. In fact, I have a little message from Her Majesty. A message? Well then, if everyone is sitting comfortably, forthwith and with immediate effect, all authority previously afforded to male Strongheart is hereby revoked forevermore. Furthermore, he will be prosecuted for crimes against this country in a public trial by jury in the coming days. So, it seems that Her Majesty doesn't believe we need to fight fire with fire. Yeah! Good old Queen Vicky! Justice in this country needn't be administered from the shadows at all. Male Strongheart. The darkness you fostered to conceal your despicable actions these last 10 years is a thing of the past now. After today, your brand of law and order has no future, because no longer are you the Lord Chief Justice. In the eyes of the law and of Her Majesty the Queen, you are nothing but a criminal. We can't afford to create a 3D model of Queen Victoria. Also, British people might get offended. I won't get offended. I would be finding it cool. She looked kind of funny anyway. Oh, it might be animated because the things are gone. Adjourned. 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 Court is adjourned. Snap. Yeah! Is he going to get set on fire? Okay, I was going to say, that would be dark for this game. Uh-oh, it's going to break. Yeah, justice to true. Uh-oh. Why is that so cool? What the hell? He just burnt down the entire courtroom. I will say that's probably one of my favorite now. One of my favorite breakdowns. He's completely burned. Lord Clint Van Zeeks left a will in which he confessed to everything. When those words came out of Asogi's mouth, it deranged me completely. I knew I must do everything and anything in my power to contain the situation. But I couldn't find the damn document. I searched his cell, but it wasn't there. Which precipitated the jailbreak plot, I presume? What do you mean? The need to obtain that will was all-consuming. I was sure that if I facilitated Asogi's escape, he would emerge with the will somewhere in his person. But despite searching his limp body in the cemetery that night, it still eluded me. It never even crossed my mind that it was concealed in the sword's hilt. I guess we'll have to do the epilogue on Thursday? Yeah, definitely. We're not going to be able to do it this time. It's about an hour, isn't it? Because if so, that'd be good enough. If it's less than an hour, then I don't know. As an Ace Attorney anime voice actor once said, guilty as fuck. What pains me now is that my brother Clint left this world without a word to me. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks. In point of fact, I think perhaps this isn't the case. Sorry? How can that be? There is more to his last will and testament. What? An hour. Okay, that'll be great. Yeah, we'll definitely need the epilogue for Thursday. As I confront the prospects of my demise, I feel bitter regret for my younger brother. Barak, you have always looked up to me, and now you follow in my footsteps to become a prosecutor. It is my fervent wish that my unspeakable deeds should not hinder your advancement. I ask not for your understanding, for none could understand my depravity. I ask only for forgiveness. Asogi is a fine detective and a hunter worthy of respect. I didn't know you were reading it, so I didn't do it in your voice. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that his document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. May she find resolution in my death. Wow, so his wife knew. And she still died. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zeeks. Clint. Male Strongheart. You colluded with Seishiro Jigoku in a crime plot so immense it spanned the oceans. And you cold-heartedly murdered all those who knew the truth about what happened 10 years ago. But why did you set about that now, a whole decade later? To ascend to the very peak. These last 10 years have made me realize being the Lord Chief Justice wasn't enough. Short of becoming Her Majesty's Attorney General, I couldn't have no real power to effect the changes needed in this country. And for that promotion, I needed to ensure no remnants of the past remained. How could you? I like everything to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe, like a well-oiled machine. And I was just a step away, if it weren't for you meddling kids and your damn dog. And for your ambition to succeed. Did you even bother to count the number of brilliant people you had killed? Ah, Mr. Reaper, are you not forgetting something? Such as... You've very much adopted your usual prosecutor-like demeanor in the proceedings now. But the reality of the situation is that you are the defendant in this trial. However, the proceeding judge would appear to have fallen from the bench, as it were. Is he going to be the judge? Oh God, it's him again! May I suggest, therefore, that we entrust the final adjudication to an old friend? We should end at the not guilty? Okay, you got it. But, my lord, as a member of the judiciary, I am following the proceedings from the gallery, and I must say, I shan't ever forget the extraordinary battle between good and evil that I witnessed here today. Whee! The darkness that has blighted justice in our lands these past 10 years has been dispelled. Thanks in no small part to the efforts of a bright young star from the east. Defense Counsel Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. On behalf of everyone present at the Old Bailey, I give you my heartfelt thanks. You're too kind, my lord. My first time I faced you in court just under a year ago now, I had the faintest of intimations that if British justice, so warped and twisted over its long history, was finally to know change. This might just be the man to do it. What? But at the time, I wouldn't allow myself to acknowledge the possibility. I couldn't overcome my hatred of the Japanese after the circumstances of my brother's death. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me to apologize for countless discourtesies on my part. You are a lawyer of boundless talent. Oh, Lord Van Zeeks. When I first arrived in Great Britain, I was literally a nobody. Certainly not a lawyer. The truth is, my fortunes have entirely been made by the miraculous people I've met. My best friend, Kazuma Asogi, who led me here to Britain in the first place. My lawyer and ever-patient judicial assistant, Miss Susato, who helped me study to become a lawyer. The brilliant Lord Van Zeeks, who never failed to challenge his Nipponese rival. And not to mention, the exceptional master of logic and reasoning who showed me the true art of deduction, Mr. Sholmes. Saving the best for last, Mr. Naruhodo. What a relief. I'm well aware that without all these people help and support, I wouldn't be where I am today. The truth is a guiding light that always leads to happiness. I've lived by that principle for a long time now, but actually, it's not true. The truth can also cause great pain, sometimes even leave people on the brink of despair. And for that reason, there are those who feel the need to hide the truth, who do it instinctively even. But as soon as we allow our eyes to settle on something other than the truth, the darkness takes hold. And from there it grows, until eventually it makes us blind to the guiding light of the truth altogether. So that's why it's my belief that we must all resolve never to avert our eyes from what is just and true. So that we can continue to walk the straight and narrow path ahead. Oh my god, I think I love him. In that moment, she realized. I guess. Well, I must excuse myself now. But before I go, Mr. Naruhodo, let me compliment you on your grand opus. What? Without your beautifully composed case against Lord Strongheart, Her Majesty would have been unable to act. Thanks to you and your fellows, the haunting undertones of corrupting Britain's justice system has been silenced. Thank you very much. So, until our paths cross again somewhere. Well then, it would appear that this long trial has finally come to an end. And I'm glad, because I've got some bed sores. My apologies for any anxiety caused, my lord. I'm quite sure we'll meet again here in the courtroom before long, Prosecutor Barrett Van Zeeks. In conclusion of these proceedings, I hereby declare the defendant, Barrett Van Zeeks, not guilty. Woo! Celebration! I win. That is all. Go to the church. Bam. All right. I swear, if the cameras would be continued there, it would be funny. All right, 4th of November, 4:21 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. And with there, we shall stop for today. Save. We have an entire epilogue, which is apparently 2 to 3 hours long, which is a bit crazy. It even says epilogue, the Old Bailey. But yeah, apparently it's about an hour or two long. So yeah, we're going to save that for for this Thursday, which is great. That means that leaves me one more day to play this. But for now, we shall finish. I'll save again. Screw it. I'll just save again. I'm over saving because I'm nervous. But yeah, we shall pick this up on Thursday, which is great. What a great final trial that was. Bring plenty of tissues for the epilogue. Oh, God. Okay, so just to clarify what happened for myself and everyone else, Lord Strongheart was the mastermind behind it all. He was the one that got Clint to work for him as a killer and become the professor. And then he was told to kill these other people. He did it out of fear for his brother and his wife. And then when he died, he then ended up being the Reaper, or the guy who hired Reapers to play the other people and then, like, kill others that he didn't want in his way. And now he's been found out he's no longer the Chief Justice. So who's going to be the Chief Justice? Is it going to be Van Zeeks? Oh, boy. But yeah, today was fun. As for predictions, I think I've already made plenty, like a lot. But with everything that's been revealed now, prediction is maybe there's going to be a thing that's like, we got to go back to Japan so we can start putting everything up into the future. But actually, no, we've got to stay here for a while and live with Sherlock Sholmes for a while. Some more. Turns out Ryunosuke was actually the son of the evil lord all along. But yeah, we shall find out what happens next time. Like I said, I'll be back with this on Thursday. Tomorrow I am starting a new game because we finished Death Stranding, so definitely tune in for that. I don't know if I should spoil it. I mean, I already put it up on my scheduled list, but essentially I'm going to be playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I am looking forward to, so be sure to tune in for that. It's going to be fun. Hopefully it works. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has a weird block on it, so then it doesn't allow you to play on anything lower than a 2060, which is ridiculous because you can play any game as on any graphics card as long as it just might not work. But the fact that they literally just stop you from loading the game is kind of ridiculous. But I had to add in a mod so then it would allow it to work on my graphics card. So hopefully it will work. I did manage to load it, so it should work, but we shall find out. I've seen other people do it, and they seem to have got it to work there, but it's up in the air whether it's going to continue working. Regardless, we shall stop there for today. I'll be back tomorrow, like I said, with Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, so look forward to that. And if you're not looking forward to that, then I'll see you all on Thursday for the remaining parts of Great Ace Attorney. Once again, thank you all for joining today. Hope everyone enjoyed. I was glad to see everyone. It was a lot of fun. If you have not already, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, get engaged in the comments and all that. And if you want to help support me directly, there's links to Patreon and tips. And if you do become a patron, you get named as the patron list here, where I give you a shout out of every stream, like I do with Hiroru Kuni, the Swordmaster 37, and Rafatron 2000. And thank you for the continued support. I greatly appreciate you all. And we unveil the darkness hiding in the streets of London, and unveil the light for justice to reign supreme and truth. But until next time, y'all take care. Have a nice rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow or Thursday. Until next time, guys, have a good rest of the day. Bye, everyone. Bye, Rafatron. Bye, Matt Benito. Bye, Baloroth. Bye, Saroon. Bye, Astro.